People ask me where I get my ideas for my Sherlock books, and most of the time, I have no idea. One pops into my head, and if I'm smart enough to write it down, I do. Then I let it fester in my brain, and one day I sit down to write, and all of a sudden the idea pops out onto the page. Who knew? One idea came to me from two different sources. First, I've always been fascinated by people who live outside the normal boundaries of society. My dad, who was a straight-laced engineer, worked with a guy named Pat. Pat was an accountant who my dad said never had any money. Well, I found out years later mild-mannered accountant Pat had two families at the same time. One had 2 kids and the other had 3, and they lived less than 8 miles from each other. Pat bounced between the two families for 10 years before he got caught. 10 years! No wonder the guy didn't have any money. My dad lost track of Pat after both Pat's wives divorced him. I've often wondered if Pat remarried another pair after that. The second germ of the idea came from an ex-girlfriend who lived in Santa Monica, California. For exercise, she would take walks with an informal group of neighbors. In the group was a very nice older couple who were a bit odd since neither would ever look you right in the eye. After years of chit-chatting and walking, the couple suddenly quit coming. Why? Because one day, the FBI stormed into the couple's condo, finding $800,000 in cash and enough weapons to start World War III. The pair was Whitey Bulger and his girlfriend Christine Gray. Whitey was the Boston mobster who murdered 19 people and was the subject of the movie Black Mass starring Johnny Depp. These two stories got me interested in how people can simply disappear or live in another life. If you didn't know, each year 90,000 Americans disappear. Poof! One day they're here, and the next day they're not. Most split due to the mountain of debt they piled up. Some leave because they can no longer stand their husband or wife, and some scram because they hate every aspect of their life. Some fake their deaths, others get murdered, a few commit suicide where their remains will never be found, and most just get up and go. But only 1% of that 90,000 get away with it. Why? Mostly due to poor planning, or they forgot something and they come back home to get it. Disappearing has become big business. Banks employ skip tracers to hunt down deadbeats. There are numerous books for sale to show you how to disappear. And you don't have to look real hard to find bogus passports, phony social security numbers, and forged birth certificates. Plastic surgeons will completely change your appearance for the right price. And you can even buy a fresh corpse, which you can literally call your own, if you know the right places to shop. But beware, because there's no guarantee it'll work. You read all the time how the mob finds some guy in the Federal Witness Protection Program and whacks the rat when he's picking up his morning newspaper. If you are considering disappearing, bear in mind it ain't easy to do. It's tough exiting from one life and into another. No more emails, bank accounts, Facebook friends, old buddies, wives, girlfriends, enemies, and no bowling in your league next year. You can no longer fly in a plane, rent a car, buy insurance, get a doctor, or win the lotto. You'll have to establish an entirely new identity with documents to prove it. Pay cash for everything, and never let the wrong name slip out at the wrong time. So why am I bringing this all up now? Because disappearing is what my new book, the 7th Richard Sherlock Whodunit, The Case of the Dearly Departed, is all about. This book is a fun, twisting and turning mystery romp which will keep you guessing and laughing until the final pages. What else would you expect from Richard Sherlock? In his lucky number 7, Sherlock has a die-hard Cub fan's decomposed body that refuses to stay dead, a skip tracer who can't trace or skip, 2 battling ex-wives living in the same house, and 2 daughters who have gone AWOL from their nose-to-butt summer horse camp. Toss in a contested will, bad art, the music of the scumbag death cult, Tiffany's silent treatment, and it's no wonder why Sherlock's bad back is getting a lot worse. Just so you know, certain instances in this book are based on actual facts and events. Others, not so much. So, make a 2018 resolution to get on Amazon and buy your copy of The Case of the Dearly Departed. We need all the laughs we can get in these trying times, and I promise you a slew of them in this book. And finally, Happy New Year, everybody!